What's up? Hey, how are you? Um, Today at the bridge, we did not live stream, so I wanted to kind of recap the message that I preached because it was so good. And so this is going to be a truth bite. I was preaching today from Second Samuel, the seventh chapter, and it's the chapter David is king and everything's cool. He's at rest. There's no enemies. There's like everything's cool. And he's built himself this amazing cedar house. Now, I don't know why anybody would build a house out of cedar. I guess it would keep the moths out of your kingly robes. But he has a beautiful, amazing cedar house. And he's sitting here one day chilling in the jacuzzi in his cedar house. And Nathan the prophet, he's in the jacuzzi with him apparently. And David says, you know what? I'm living here in this beautiful cedar house, and the Lord is living in a house made out of curtains. Before any further explanation comes, Nathan the prophet says, do all that is in your heart. Sometimes we answer too quickly without hearing a matter, and we're warned about that in the book of James. He didn't even inquire of God. He just told David, do it, because he was kind of on the same page. That was a good plan David had, because David was thinking, let's build God a house. But a good plan and a God plan are two different things. G-O-D and G-O-O-D are real close, but they're really not that close at all. So Nathan the prophet, after telling David, go for it, he goes home and lays down, goes to sleep, and God gives him a vision, a dream. Somehow God speaks to him and says, whoa, go back and tell David, no, gracias, no casa para mí, no house for me, no thank you. And then the word comes in such a way that if you don't understand the gift of sarcasm, then it's going to be a boring read for you. But if you understand that God uses sarcasm a little bit on occasion, then you'll understand the flow of this prophecy that Nathan, the prophet, who missed it, by the way, because prophets miss it, by the way, sometimes, even the real ones. He comes back with this word for David, and the word goes kind of like this. Do I need you to build me a house? Really? Now, these aren't the exact words, I'm paraphrasing, but this is God talking to David through Nathan. Since time began, have I sought for anyone to build a house for me? Did I mention to anyone in Israel that I didn't want to live in the curtain house and that I needed a house of cedars? Really now? Do you think that you could build a house for me? And there's such a clear picture here of this mistake that so many people make, thinking that we can do something for God. And the real issue is not about us doing something for God. The real issue is God did something for us, because God follows it up in this prophetic word. And the next thing he says is, did not I take you from the sheepcote where you were following the sheep? Okay, now to be a shepherd in their day was a pretty low job on the totem pole. It was like a garbage can, a fry cook at McDonald's, a garbage man, or maybe a water boy on a football team. And I love the part where it says, didn't I take you from among the sheep where you were following the sheep? Excuse me, but shepherds don't follow sheep. They lead sheep. So not only did I seek you out in your lowly place, but you weren't even doing it right. So didn't I come find you and you were a water boy and you were drinking the water instead of serving it? It's kind of like what this word is saying. And he lays it out to David and he says, this is, you're kind of confused here because I'm God and I laid the heavens out and I'm vast and big, and you got it in your mind that you need to do something for me. I want to tell you something today. You don't need to do anything for God. I know folks go to the altar and they say, Lord, oh, holy Lord, I just want to bring my life and give it to you. What does he need with your life? He's God. He gave it to you to start with, as if it were yours. Are you kidding me? I want to give this to you, Lord. You can't give him anything. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It all already belongs to him. So don't get confused and think that you can do anything for God. Oh, but But Brother Robert, I can serve the Lord. I can give him my heart. I can do ministry for him. Please don't make me go there. God doesn't need you to do anything for him. He needs for you to realize what he's done for you, because he came to you in your lowest state and you weren't even doing it right. And he rescued you, and he set you in a high place, and he called you by his name, and he made you his own. And before the foundation of the world was even laid, he called you by your name and predestined you to be adopted into his family so that you could forever be part of the kingdom of glory and riches and grace and peace and love could be your inheritance. He did that for you. So don't think you can do anything for him. So this prophetic word flows and it continues on, and David ends up getting it, and I think probably verse 11 really drives it home for it. It's where he says, David, I made you a house. And I know you want to make me a house to live in, but I made you a house to live in. We have to understand that under that old covenant, God did raise up a temple for the people. But under the new covenant, God raises up a people for a temple. And he didn't just tell David, I'm going to make a house for you. He said, I made you a house. Jesus talking to the boys one day over in John 14, he said, let not your heart be troubled. And you can let it not, or you can let it. That's your choice right there. He said, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, that wherever I am, you can be also. Jesus wasn't talking about going to the sky with a tool belt on to build big houses, Beverly Hillbilly houses for everybody. He was the Father's house when he said that. He said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. If you've heard me, you've heard the Father. He was the dwelling place of God. And he said, I go to prepare a place for you to become a dwelling place. He went to the cross where he drew all men unto himself. He went to the cross to pay the sin debt and make it possible then for the second coming. He said, I will come again unto you. And he did on the day of Pentecost. Stop craning your neck towards the sky every time you hear a horn whistle. He came. And he indwelt the people there in the upper room as a beginning. And now he lives inside of us. He came back. In my Father's house are many mansions. Look. You want to see a mansion? I love mansions. You want to see a mansion? There's one. There's two. Look beside you. There's three. Look in your lap. There's four. We're his mansions. We're the place he dwells. He told David, he said, David, I know you want to make a house for me, but I'm going to make you a house. And I'm going to fill it with treasures. Paul the Apostle writes to the church at Corinth, and he says, it's in these earthen vessels that we have the real treasure. In their day, the treasure was in the temple. In their day, the riches and the gold and the greatest treasure on the earth that men knew of were in the temple. But Paul says, know ye not that you are the temple? And in the clay pot that you are, Father has placed the greatest treasure there's ever been. And yes, we're perplexed sometimes, and yes, we're distressed, and yes, we're pressed, and yes, stuff happens. But all in all, the purpose in it is so that Father can reveal the Christ in your mortal flesh, inside of you. The greatest treasure there's ever been lives inside of you. You are the house that God built. David hears this good news, and he's taken aback by it. In 2 Samuel 7 and verse 18, it says, then King David went in, and he sat before the Lord. Some of you need to do that. You just need to sit before the Lord and focus on his magnificence. Focus on how big he really is. He's so much bigger than that little box that your religion put him in. God is spirit. Jesus told the woman at the well, he said, woman, the hour's coming and now is when the true worshipers are going to worship God in spirit. Go worship God in spirit. Get beyond your Christianity. Get beyond your idea of who God is. You can't build a box for God. You can't build a house for God. He created the heavens. He created billions of galaxies. God is spirit. And when you see him in spirit and worship him in spirit, all you can do is just take a seat, just like David. You'll realize it's not about what you can do for God. It's about what he did do for you. David just sat before the Lord and he prayed a prayer and he said, God, only you could do this. Men would never do this for me. Only you. Bless my house. Bless my lineage. And I pray that prayer for you today, that you'd realize that you are the house of God, that he did do something for you, something amazing that no man could do, and that his blessing would take over your family in ways that you never dreamed. Thanks so much. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Keep watching Truth Bites, and if this meant something to you, share it.